the Upshot, Ultra-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I am the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield. And Josh, we get to do one of my very favorite episodes of the year today. And that is the Gaffs and Weird Stuff bracket. Now, we do the storylines bracket, and it's a very serious exercise. We do 2 shows. We're thinking really hard. What is the story of the year? This is not that. This is just what was funny and weird. And occasionally there's like there's something in there that's like kind of more serious. Josh, last year we had 2 finalists, and we didn't actually pick a winner. We put it out to the world. What did you think? We had, if you can you guess what they were? The 2 things that made the finals in the Gaffs bracket last year.
It feels like last year was 10 years ago. It's so hard to look back and remember some of these things.
They both happened at majors.
Okay, I think one of them has to be Nico getting suspended and the altercation. Okay,
yes,
all right, that one.
The other was Elaine King texting Paige's caddy.
That was only last.
That was last year. Earlier, Josh, I was like, when we were setting up our bracket for this year, I was like, did the Terry Miller suck your disc into the tree thing happen this year? And that actually happened in 2021. But that one is just, if we do a Gaffs bracket of the 2020s, that's going to be a top seed.
I make that joke every time my disc gets caught in a tree. I'm like, man, those Velcro trees.
All right.
If here, little pro tip. If you've seen it live, it is, so you got to go watch the clip on the live version, but then you need to go watch the Jomez clip where Germ and Yuli just talk around it, but don't actually say what's happening.
So good.
Hilarious.
So good.
You got to go get the Jomez side as well if you haven't yet.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is going to be a fun one. And if you're checking it out on YouTube, you might enjoy this episode, particularly if you watch it on YouTube and don't just listen to it on your podcast app, because we're going to clip a lot of these things so that you can watch them and relive them with us as we go through our bracket. And I think it'll be the most fun if we just go into each matchup, because then we don't reveal them all at the beginning. And we get to see them one by one, and we'll like watch or listen to them as we go through. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
All right, well, let's kick things off. We have 16 seeds again, and same rules. We've got the possession arrow. I think it's still in my direction after last show. Or maybe this is going to come out first. Whatever. In case this does come out first, we'll have a possession arrow just like in college basketball. And so if we disagree on what should advance, we can call it a jump ball, and it goes to the person who has the arrow. So right now I have the arrow. And let us begin. And we start with the number 1 versus the number 16. It's probably going to be an easy one here. But Josh, number 1, Anthony Barella at the European Open on hole 16 in the final round, going full tin cup. This is, I mean, I don't even need to show you the video on this one. I mean, this one is burned into everyone's memory. And that's going up against the number 16. This is a kind of a deep cut. The Champions Cup registration fiasco, when the PDGA like didn't email the pros, and then like a lot of people missed the deadline, and the PDGA basically just blamed them. And then eventually, like, there were so many people missing that they had to make a Monday qualifying. Like, they basically made it up in order to like let more people get in. Kind of a disaster on all sides. And so, Josh, there you go. That's the first matchup.
Like you said, the Champions Cup one is actually a pretty deep cut, and the thing about it is like the PDGA actually did a fairly decent job handling the majors this year, right? Like we've had some real fiascos past couple of years. So for this to be the issue with the major, pretty minor, and that's good. That's a good sign. We're trending in the right direction, man. If AB hole 16 is going to be hard for me, that one is so funny. It shouldn't be that funny. But my goodness, it just, I do not know of a blow up that is more impactful and more just, I mean, it made John Boy, like it was, that's That's a gaff.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, because it's like it's painful to watch, and you feel really bad. But at the same time, it's like the same mistake over and over again. I mean, this is also one to watch on Jomez. Like, I watched it back recently and was like, oh my God, I kind of forgot how bad it was. Because, like,
I don't think I've seen the Jomez clip of
it. Oh, yeah, it's worth watching. Okay. It's worth watching. Right. In the booth, it was just like, my head was like in my hands. Philo and I are just like, oh my God. Like, but like you're mostly just silent watching him miss again and again. It was crazy. It was crazy. But anyway, I'm totally with you. It's an easy advance.
Easy advance.
You just mentioned like this is like the biggest PDGA kind of screw up of the year on the tournament side. And like, yeah, there really weren't. Yeah. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
The tournaments were like pretty smooth this year.
They were. Yeah.
You know?
It's probably because the PDGA hardly ran any of them.
Well, I mean, but you got to give him credit for.
You got to give him credit
for that. So,
yeah.
Okay, Josh, what's next?
Next up, Lone Star Ranger team. You take your pick. There's a variety of things. It's kind of a grab bag of gaffs that you can put in there, whether it be the dog, the nonstop advertisement about how it's the plastic, Charlie.
It's the quality of the plastic, Josh.
The players that they chose. I mean, it's a list. It's a list. This goes up against this one was not only like put up in the thread on the Discord so fast, but someone actually went and clipped it for you, Charlie, so that you don't even have to do it. That is me forking Isaac Robinson in the subscriber bonus.
Let's pause and remember back. This is Josh. This is a clip from our subscriber bonus segment Inside the Circle following the third round of the World, so 2 rounds to go. And we did an exercise where we were saying either you can fork somebody, say that they're cooked, it's done, it's over, they got no chance, or you could just keep them in the oven and be like, they're still alive, they're still cooking. And so here's our discussion of Isaac Robinson. Listen. Number 2 in the standings, Isaac Robinson. Obviously, Isaac is just 2 shots back. I'm going to say win it. He's already won a major this season. He's only 2 shots back. He shot a 9 under today and had 6 under at Fox, but had a bazillion bogeys. He can clean it up.
Stick a fork in him. He is. He's not good enough at Fox. You're right. He won a major, but he won a major with the lowest round ratings for a major in a long time, and his past 2 rounds at Fox are not going to get it done. I just don't think he plays Fox well enough. Stick a fork in him. He needed to be ahead today. He needed to be 2 strokes ahead, and then maybe he has a good chance to win it and be in it even. But he just doesn't play well enough at Fox. So stick a fork in it.
All right, there it is. Josh with the ultra confident forking of Isaac Robinson. Ranger team. Okay, look, I don't know how far this Isaac Robinson getting forked thing is going to go. But it is going to advance past the Ranger team stuff. Now, look, I know it's easy to make fun of the Ranger team stuff. It is. It just definitely is. And, credit to Lone Star. They made the dog post on Instagram. They're laughing at themselves a little bit, which is always good. But at the end of the day, don't tell me that this hasn't been an incredibly effective marketing technique for Lone Star. There are just thirsty people who want to be sponsored and want to have the privilege of buying Lone Star plastic at slight discount so much that they're, 800 rated, doesn't matter. Anybody can get sponsored. But you know what? It's a smart marketing technique. So as much as it's easy to be look at these hordes of people who are being forced by their own decision to sign a contract that says they have to mostly throw Lone Star and they don't really get much for free. That's goofy, but it's also working. So I gotta say that it's you giving Isaac Robinson the fork with just the utmost clarity and confidence.
I think I prepped for hours for that show and like did research on players, and the Isaac Robinson one. I felt like I had all the evidence in the world about that I was going to be right.
It's not that it was really that it was super illogical.
It was,
but looking back, what I said in the show, right? He had a lot of bogeys that he could clean up. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yep, it did. All right.
So sorry,
What's
Josh.
next,
Maybe you'll get a chance
right.
to assess that the next one and get yourself out of the lineup. Next is the 5 versus the 12. The 5 seed. Paul McBeth announces this big trip to Europe. Okay, he's going to skip a bunch of the Pro Tour. He's going to go to Europe on this like 6-week sojourn, and he's going to be off, winning all these tournaments. Number 1 player. Oh, wow, Paul McBeth. And he goes over to Europe, okay? And everyone's like, wow, Paul McBeth going to Europe, playing against a bunch of, 950 rated dudes. And what does he do? He loses badly to Joey Tamale in his first event in Europe. And that's how things get started on what was an ultimately fairly uneven European trip for Paul McBeth. But him losing to Joey Tamale was just memed for weeks.
Joey Tamale's a Jomez camera operator, or
yes,
works. Okay, so
former
he works
pro.
for Jomez. Yeah,
he's a good player. I mean, it's more that McBeth lost than that Tamale won.
Well, Tamale didn't win.
Or you're right. He finished behind him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
McBeth was 31st. It was at the Estonia Open.
31st. So crazy. It's a McBeth matchup here. The 12 seed.
Okay.
Paul McBeth and Dylan Cease purchased the Throwdown the Mountain property in Florida and get instantly sued by Trevor Tonjes. I don't remember how to pronounce his name. Who says that he's been, suffering injury because he got hit by a disc at a tournament there. That's still not resolved, but just like instant celebrity lawsuit.
Isn't he like a disc golf shop owner down there too or something? Yeah. This one is tough because I think the losing to Joey Tamale is in a vacuum hilarious. But then Paul's like, oh yeah, so funny, and then like wins the next 5 events, and just goes on a heater.
Well, he didn't win the next 5 events. He won like half his European tournaments.
He won half, and then took second in the rest of them, though.
He bounced back.
He bounced. He had a good European stretch after this one.
31st.
Did he get? Did Trevor get hit by the disc after they bought the property, or did he just sue after they bought the property?
I think he got hit by the disc after.
Okay.
I think. I actually don't. I haven't double checked that timeline, but I'm pretty sure.
I wish this court proceeding was as public as the Gandalf.
It actually is.
Thrown around.
You can go look it all up.
Getting posted and I know I could go look it up, but I mean,
you need somebody to do that for you. I get
it. I want the Reddit folks to take care of that for me. I think that the Throwdown the Mountain one is funny, but losing to Joey Tamale is just so good. So I think that one's going to advance.
All right, I'm not going to disagree. I think the lawsuit thing feels more sad than funny to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
In the 4 seed, we had the introduction of a new program this year, Charlie. and it was a program that we had talked a little bit about and that the Disc Golf Pro Tour should do. And that's a Tournament Central, the pre-show. But do you remember early season Tournament Central and the digital booth that they had?
There's a lot about this that was crazy.
There's a lot.
Okay, so yeah, continue. I have thoughts.
Yeah.
I have thoughts. I'll put up a clip so people can watch.
Yes. This goes up against, and I'm going to phrase it like Aaron did on the Discord, because I think he deserves credit for the way he phrases this. Jomez missing the chase card winners so many times that they sold their business. Now,
oh no.
I think the real thing here is like Jomez missing the chase card winners, But man, the way that's phrased is so good.
Oh man, that was crazy early in the season. It felt like we had a chase card winner for like 6 weeks straight, and it's just like, we were talking about it on the show. Like, oh man, another week where watching Jomez final round is completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
And yeah, but wow, Tournament Central early in the season. I mean, there was a lot about that was wild. So they were green screening people from home into a virtual set, and then having them act as though they were like in this actual physical room together, even though it was incredibly obvious that they were not. And I just think that anybody should have just watched like a preview of this before trying to do it on the air. And somebody would have been like, this is not it. Like, there were a lot of ways to handle it, right? Make a 2-box, just like if you watch YouTube Upshot version, we're sitting in our own little boxes on the screen.
Yep.
It's totally fine. It's totally natural. Like, they tried to do too much. And then even crazier, Liz Lopez, who was one of the hosts, just straight up ghosted and like didn't show up one day and never came back. I don't even know how much people really know that. She just like in the middle of one of the, maybe the second tournament of the year, just didn't show up. And then that was that. Now, to be fair to Tournament Central, they worked out the kinks and they've made it like a very watchable thing with having hosts who are at home with then somebody on the ground typically, or it's Nate Perkins and Brian Earhart on the ground, just talking about what's going on. And it's fine for what it is. And it's not like painful to watch anymore. Jomez missing chase card winner, a good laugh, but Tournament Central's got to win the day. Just like
definitely,
it was just so bad early on.
Honestly, I think the way Aaron phrased it, like, elevated the seeding of this one by like from the 16 to the 13 because of just how funny that was. So,
all right, Josh, here we go. The 3 versus the 14, the 3 seed.
Okay.
Well, it's not specifically the Prodigy lawsuit against Gannon Buhr. There is a subtopic here that is important. Now, that is weird enough to make the bracket just straight up on its own. So you can consider that a part of this overall category. Okay.
Okay. All right.
But specifically, it was the citation of a PDGA Rodman Instagram post in the legal court documents.
It's the meme, isn't it? It's the meme.
So I'll put the meme up. It's Gannon standing doing, you know, the meme where the guy's doing the peace sign over the grave. So it's like Gannon's face with Prodigy on the tombstone. And okay, let me read this to you. Okay, this is a quote from the legal filing. Anderson wrote in his declaration that one post particularly, quote, troubling and worrisome to me is a meme of Prodigy Disc's logo on a tombstone with Gannon Buhr's smiling face photoshopped on a body standing over the gravesite, indicating Gannon Buhr's departure would essentially destroy Prodigy Disc's business. Particularly troubling and worrisome.
There's a PDGA Rodman meme that is going to be in court archives for the rest of time.
It's the stuff of legends.
Oh my gosh.
So there you go. That's the first thing. Along with everything else that went on with the Prodigy lawsuit. Going up against the number 14 seed, which is Isaac Robinson teeing off on hole 1 in the World Championships. Was it the final round or was it the second to last round?
Final round.
It was the final round.
Yeah.
And he pushes his drive too straight, maybe just a little bit too flippy of a disc, and it's going straight out of bounds out the back. And it just goes straight off the backboard of a spotter's backpack who had it set right next to the OB line, and it just bink, knocked right back in bounds. And importantly, the spotter then picks the backpack up and moves it after the disc had hit it.
It's MPO lead card. No
it's
one
like this is critical stuff. It's like you wonder what would have happened if he'd gone OB there.
Oh yeah, it's I said that the 1 seed should be any spectator who brings a backpack full of discs, but it would have won the bracket, so we had to leave it out as just the clear winner of the dumbest thing in disc golf. I'm giving the spotter the benefit of the doubt that there was water and snacks because they'd been out there all day. If there were discs in that bag though, and I think I said this on the show too, so help me. Unbelievable. This one's good. The only problem I have with it though, it's the what if isn't very clear and very clean because of how early it is, right? Hole 1.
Well, Isaac won by what? Handful
3 or 4
strokes.
Yeah. So like Ricky's umbrella gate felt different because it was like on hole like 16 or 17.
That also
right?
was inbounds. It wasn't even out of bounds.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just really
exactly.
quick aside. Can we just all listen? If you're a spotter at a tournament or you're a tournament official listening to this podcast, you need to communicate to spotters. No one is to place anything within 5 yards of the out of bounds. Like I can understand it. It's like you're over there. You have to be close to the line. So you set your bag out of bounds, right? It wasn't inbounds, but you got to know that like the disc might go there. Anyway, continue.
I love it. I want to hate on it more, but PDJ Rodman, man, I think even at the 3 seed it might be underseeded. It's got a strong case to win this whole thing.
Oh man, I'm still in agreement. I think I don't want to quibble there.
Can we just add one more part to this?
Sure.
Man, rip Kevin Jones and Isaac Robinson for not being A-list players or A-tier players.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean that's that.
Oh my.
There's a lot to the Prodigy lawsuit stuff that we could dig deeper on.
Gift that keeps on giving. All right. Next up, in the 6th seed, we've got OB Gait, Throw Pink Women's Championship. Holland Hanley gets to advance all the way up, even though it never went in bounds, versus the 11 seed, Haley King sets her disc down and then plays from the long lie at Jonesboro and takes a stroke penalty because of the misplay.
And eventually lost in a playoff. So you could argue that she would have won the tournament had she not done this.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Like the Holland OB gate, it was a weird thing. Was it a gaff? Maybe it was arguably a gaff. But it just feels like this was a kind of a big tournament moment that got amplified a lot because of where it happened in the tournament.
Yeah.
Like if
like Kristen
Isaac,
going for
if
the
Isaac
super slam too
was like up by a stroke and bounced off a backpack on hole 17 or something like that.
Oh man.
Right? Like it would be a much bigger deal. But it was also that was gaffier than this. This was just a missed shot and nobody had a great look at it. And so then she got benefit of the doubt, which is pretty typical. Mm-hmm. So I'm of two minds. Obviously, that was a much more important thing that happened. But Haley misplaying the lie, like... Here's the problem with the Haley misplaying the lie. We've seen it before. We'll see it again.
We did see it again.
We did see it again.
Hannah did it at the Pro Tour Championship.
I think it might have happened 3 or 4 times this year. I'm pretty sure Joel Freeman did it at one point.
I think that was last year.
Was it?
I think it was last year at Beaver State Fling.
Okay. You might be right. Anyway.
But yeah, you're right. Before and after.
It's slightly too common of a thing for me to advance it. Even though I don't necessarily think the OB gate thing is like especially gaffy, I have to advance it.
Okay. All right. Well, it's going up against PDGA Rodman, so don't worry.
It's got a tough match.
I don't think it's going to make it through round 2. All right.
Here we go. 7 versus 10. We got another backpack. Well, this one wasn't. No, I take it back.
No, this isn't.
This is not a backpack. This was a full-on strike of a spotter. Anthony Barella, hole 10, Las Vegas Challenge, throws a monster drive. He whips the chase catch cam in the middle of the fairway, and behind the catch cam was I believe the guy spotting with a scope for Bushnell distances.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably thought he was in a fine spot because he was behind the camera and, kind of just over the guy's shoulder. But unfortunately on this day, he was in the wrong spot. And as the disc started to hook up and it was going to land in the fairway and skip, I mean, it was a monster drive, typical AB bomb. And he tries to get out of the way. It hits him as he's moving into the sand trap. He knocks the disc into the sand trap and also falls himself down into the sand trap, is on his butt, looking at the disc in the sand trap. And then we see Barella on the tee, who is raging mad. It is just incredible. So OB for Barella, and the internet went crazy. And you feel bad for the guy. I will say, I've been there. At Utah Worlds, I was walking the course a little bit during MPO. I was way down one of the fairways on the golf course layout.
Okay.
I was way down the fairway. And Eagle threw a drive, and it was like Headhunter. Like, it came straight at me, and it didn't hit me, but I did have to, like, dance out of the way. And I was like, oh, my God. And I feel like this is a similar situation to what this spotter dealt with. And he just, unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time. And anyway, that's the first one.
Okay.
Number 2, another interaction between player throwing and person on the other end. Eagle throws a grenade and it spikes down onto a cameraman's head. And he has to go to the hospital. He's got a huge gash in his head.
I forgot about that.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's in that grove of trees. So the players would just throw in and hope for the best.
And the camera operators, normally it's like someone throws a grenade. They just kind of go, well, where the hell is it? And then boom, it lands right over there and they track to it. But this guy was in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
On this one, the cameraman, I think, is very much not at fault. I mean, he's back fairly far, in the grove of trees, probably thinks he's fairly well covered. And as the cameraman, you've got to try to catch the shot on the green. So I think that one's less his fault. I mean, that's just an unfortunate hole shape that created that. Here's, for me, spotter knocking AB's drive in takes the cake. 3 reasons why. Number 1, the spotter's reaction. He's sitting on the ground and he puts his hands in his face.
Oh my God.
Or his face in his hands.
That's so brutal.
So there's that. Number 2, Anthony Barella just fuming on the tee pad. Goes over and hits his bag and is just if looks could kill, man, Anthony Barella's would have that day. But the third thing, and this is the best part about this, Drew Gibson sold T-shirts.
Oh my God, that's right.
On his website afterwards, and then the TD for LVC came after Drew on socials.
Thank you for bringing me back. I completely forgot about that.
Which I think that part, it's oh man, that was funny. That sucks that it happens. And then the Drew TD beef just it makes it the gift that keeps on giving. Spotter knocking the AB shot in definitely wins.
Why is
this.
Drew making merch about this? It's just.
It's so.
And why is the TD getting involved?
The TD's said something about royalties because they didn't ask permission to use his image and likeness.
Oh my God.
Oh my word. It was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that one advances.
I'm with you there. That's got a chance to have some legs here in the bracket, I think.
So too. I think so too.
All right, what's the last matchup here in the round of 16, Josh?
All right, final one. The number 2 seed. The PDGA Disc Golf Pro Tour transgender participation and FPO decision. Now, this one could really encapsulate a couple of things.
This does date back to 2022, but it happened after we did Gaffs bracket last year, I believe.
Yes. So that's right. The policy decision and the article or the what was it? The medical committee's
report.
findings with all the typos and
the citation to like Cliff's notes and stuff like that.
Gosh,
it was incredible.
That report was so bad. That was so bad. And then the decision to cancel FPO and being like, oh, well, never mind. That's bad. Walking that back with the United Series. So everything that's encapsulated in that versus the number 15 seed Cat Merch wrestling cosplay at Jonesboro.
Oh, this was fun.
Where she's got the bandana and the sunglasses. Like, Cat Merch leans into it. She's got such a great personality.
Thank God we had like a couple moments like that to make those press conferences something other than the most dreadfully boring piece of content on the planet. Listen, I guarantee you I watch the press conferences more than 95% of people. I often watch the whole thing. Now, I wait until it's over and watch it on 2x speed so that I can get through it because it's just the same questions and answers every single week. Brutal. So it's so nice to have a moment of levity where we can have a little fun and see some personality, and Cat Merch just did it up beautifully.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, it has no chance to advance past what was truly like a real world enormous blunder from the PDGA and the Pro Tour. It's just that simple. Like, again, I want to stress, I don't even really, like, regardless of where you fall on the debate and how you feel like this should be dealt with, it was a terribly wrong idea for the PDGA and the Pro Tour to think that they were the organizations that should adjudicate this way before this gets dealt with at a higher level by bigger sports. Said it at the time, and it's more true a year from now. Yeah. And so, like, this is just a monster blunder. And I think the proof is simple, right? The Pro Tour was on the brink of canceling FPO because they had burned so much money fighting lawsuits and losing some of those lawsuits against the one player for which this entire policy was created, after which, when she was reinstated, nobody cared at all. It's just, it was just, I mean, wow, what a huge mistake. And so this advances for me. This is going to have some legs, I think.
I think so.
It's, it's unfortunate. Like, a lot of this stuff is just sort of funny and silly, but this one
is not funny.
Again, like, it doesn't even matter where you fall on the issue. Like, they handled it wrong.
All right, we're in the quarterfinals now.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, quarters, semis, finals. What's going to win the Gaffs and Weird Stuff bracket here in 2023? Stay with us.
At Pound, the quality of our gear runs deeper than the stitching. That's why we make everything right here in the U.S., employing highly skilled, well-paid professionals. From bomb-proof Cordura fabric to YKK zippers and recycled plastics, we source the highest quality U.S. materials to make the most comfortable, durable pack in disc golf. Our lifetime warranty stays with the pack, not the purchaser. So regardless of how you find us, we will be here to make sure your pack stays on the course and out of the landfill. Pound's integrity is held together with more than just thread.
Welcome back to the Upshot. Gaffs bracket continues. Quarterfinal round. Here we go. Matchup number 1. It's the 1 versus the 9 seed. AB hole 16 at the European Open versus Josh forking Isaac Robinson after 3 rounds at Worlds. Josh, you get to choose.
I hope that this spot in the bracket kills the forking of Isaac Robinson, so we quit talking.
Well, I'm sure you hope that.
That's definitely what I'm hoping. I don't think it'll work. Even despite my bias in this one, I think that the 1 seed of Anthony Barella's hole 16 at European Open has to advance. It's like the fact that we've been talking, and it's funny because these are both European Open ones Oh no, Forking Isaac Robinson's at Worlds. Never mind. They're both majors. But it's so funny because I think with like the European Open one, there was, I just remember my Discord was blowing up with people like, oh, get ready to buy your Anthony Barella hat. Because remember, I said if Anthony Barella would win a tournament, I'd go buy the AB hat. So everyone's like sending me links to his shop, like the merch shop, to buy his hat. Like asking how I'm feeling about this now. I mean, just blowing up my phone, and it was so crazy because you're like, wow, Anthony Barella is finally about to do it. Like he's about to break the narrative that he can't clutch and that he chokes late in tournaments, and then he just makes it the most, like, the worst storyline that he's going to be stuck with for a very long time. Anthony Barella's got to advance.
As much as I want to continue to punish you, I have to agree.
So at the very least, I'm going to make you use your possession arrow.
Oh
if you
no,
want that
I'm not going to burn it on. I would just be. It would be spiteful. I don't believe it. I don't believe it in my core.
Thank goodness.
Okay, what's next?
All right, next up. This is the 4 versus the 5 seed. We did not have a lot of upsets in the early.
No, we
one.
did not.
So, unlike the storylines, not nearly as many. So, in the number 4 seed, Tournament Central, early on in the season, going up against the 5 seed of Paul losing to Joey Tamale.
I'm going Paul losing to Joey Tamale. Just like all of this, like, incredible, like, build up to Paul doing this Europe thing, and then he finishes 31st. Like, what? That was just too good. It was too good. I think the Tournament Central thing, like, if it had been a huge problem the whole season, I would probably push it a little bit further along. But they cleaned it up after like 2 or 3 tournaments.
Yeah, just like Paul.
That's a good point.
They both cleaned it up after 2 or 3
pretty even matchup here, but I'm
I
going
think so
Paul.
too. The one thing I want to add to the Paul, and this is no disrespect meant towards Joey, but man, the name is just even better. Like, it'd be one thing, like, you lose to Anthony Barella, like the name, right? Joey Tamale. If I saw that, just like imagine, like Tiger Woods loses to Joey Tamale during his prime. Like, the name itself, like, I think adds to it. It just sounds funny. His last name's Tamale. Like, I love that. So I add that as well.
All right. Next up, Josh.
What's
next? We've got PDGA Rodman cited as evidence in the Gannon Burr lawsuit from Prodigy, and that's going up against Holland Handley, OB Gait on 18.
You know, change the meme, scrub Prodigy out, and put OB Gait Holland, because I think PDGA Rodman is burying this one. OB Gait had, I think, a fairly easy early round matchup that advanced it. And the PDGA Rodman, to me, is just a sleeper winner here. It's so good.
So the 3 seed advances. All right. What's the last one, Josh?
This is going to be the hardest quarterfinal. No question in my mind. PDGA and the decision around the transgender participation goes up against the spotter knocking AB's drive into the sand trap. Now, this is hard because I think this is one of the funniest ones with everything included, going up against the only one left in the bracket that is, like, not at all funny. And that makes it a very difficult decision that I don't envy you having to make.
I'm not sure how far this is going to make it, but I got to go with a trans decision here. I just think that, like, the spotter thing, while extremely funny, was like of basically no consequence in the tournament. And the
sweatshirts, though, Charlie.
Transgender thing was like the totality of the last 12 months. Like, it was constant.
Yeah, you're right.
It was constant.
You're right.
And it was all because of the decision and approach taken by the PDGA at the beginning of the season. And so I just, and then they had to completely backtrack at the end of the year because they totally misplayed the situation. I don't know. It's just like too big of a blunder not to at least make it to semis. And the spotter, like, again, like, I don't know, like the guy wasn't really like in the wrong spot. He just happened to get caught in a bad position. And it undeniably a lot funnier. Undeniably a lot funnier.
So funny. That one might be the funniest on here to me. I don't know. PDJ Rodman.
PDJ Rodman one is.
PDJ Rodman's the funniest. This one's close though. This one's just funny. I love that one. That's too bad. That's a tough loss in the quarters.
Tough loss. All right, Josh. We go to the semis. What you got? You're giving me the matchup here.
All right. We got Europe here. The Europe showdown. AB hole 16 European Open going against Paul, losing to Joey Tamale.
Well, it's got to be Barella here.
Yeah,
it's a juggernaut right now. And like, yeah, just the Paul thing. It's not like he was horrible for the whole time in Europe. It was the one tournament where he really played bad.
If this one has some teeth, if he loses to Joey Tamale every tournament he plays in Europe.
If he just like goes winless and you know is just duffing it up out there. But yeah, no, the whole 16 thing, I mean, that's just like the iconic blunderfest of 2023. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if it can win the final, but that's where it's getting to the final for sure.
Yep. Oh,
so here we go, Josh.
Go first on this.
PDGA Rodman, Gannonburr lawsuit, a whole Prodigy situation versus the transgender situation.
Oh man, here's the thing about the decision about transgender participation. I think in a couple of years is going to be, or even this year, right? Like in a future season, this is going to have to be re-adjudicated in the way that it was going to be adjudicated, which is another sport is going to deal with this first. A decision's going to get made. States or the federal courts are going to be making a decision about this, and then we're going to have to deal with it, right? And at that point, once that happens, we'll go back and we'll talk about this and the medical committee and the findings report and everything else for that season, and then we're going to forget about it moving forward. To me, the PDGA Rodman evidence of a Gannon, like used in actual court for this Gannonburr lawsuit is like the other meme that I saw that I thought like they Prodigy. It's like the meme where the like you've got the one where the guy sticks the stick in his own bike spokes. They both are just such self blunders, right? They saying they have no A-list players. I think that they are both screw ups by the organization, but because in the spirit of the Gaffs bracket, I want the comedy. I want to laugh about it. I want to advance PDGA Rodman to the finals.
I accept this choice. I think, you know, if we had if the criteria here was like biggest impact, like why we even do it, right?
Right.
Like
we already we have that. It's called the storylines bracket.
We already did this.
Both of these were in the storylines bracket.
That's right. So I think I totally understand the call here, and I do think that the whole Prodigy Gannonburr thing, which also had real world impact, by the way.
It does.
And like Prodigy won essentially. And so like, you know, we can laugh at some of the things that they did in their lawsuit, but like on the actual merits, they were right. And that's why it settled. And that's why Gannonburr was with Prodigy the whole season, because on the actual law of the contract land, they were right. And like, yes, were some of the examples that they used to show how they were harmed a little bit ridiculous? Yes, they were. But it is still like, overall, they were the ones who won this skirmish.
Yes.
So there was real world impact there as well. And there's a case to be made, Josh, that in the long run, the bigger real world impact will actually be from this Prodigy lawsuit.
I think that's a
because they established, it's not like there was some precedent that needed to be set in the world. Like contract law is very old. But in disc golf, we kind of had a couple of years of relative like disregard for contracts. And the players were kind of doing whatever they wanted. And then Prodigy came down and said, absolutely not. And now I think we won't see that as much. I think we're going to see companies building in clear terminology about how contracts would end, buyout clauses, options, things like that. And players are going to be a lot more careful about, you know, saying that there was breach and like what that actually means. I think this establishes actual precedent on the matter. The transgender stuff is going to be a footnote in the larger conversation about this topic in global sports. Yeah. So that's the case for why this is actually also impactful real world. Even though the point is just that it's funny.
It is funny. Yeah. Here's the question. Does Gannon Burr go to Prodigy and with a copy of the lawsuit and say, all right, you said it's $1 million. You sued me for $1 million. If you want me to stay on Prodigy, I want $1 million if you think that's what I'm worth. That's what Gannon should do. Remember? Because they sued him for $1 million. That was damages.
Yeah. I do not think that Gannon will remain at Prodigy.
I don't either.
You never know. Maybe they'll want to pay him the bag.
For $1 million, might be able to tolerate them.
Might be able to.
All right. That brings us to our finals. Here we
go, Josh. Anthony Barella, hole 16, European Open versus the Gannon Burr lawsuit. What do you think?
When I came into this bracket, I was certain that AB hole 16, like we put in the Discord. I posted on Friday in the Discord that we were going to be recording this show on a Monday, and the next Monday, and so there was the weekend for people to put in everything. And I thought to myself, I was like, because you know we are very involved. We remember these storylines. We laugh about them throughout the year. We talk about them. Some of them we definitely forget, especially some of the lower seeded ones. But the big ones, like, we talk about pretty regularly. And I was like, there's no way there's going to be anything that comes out that's going to beat AB on hole 16. And PDGA Rodman is it's the combination of the fact that it's a ridiculous lawsuit and all the things that were used in the lawsuit and said in the lawsuit were just so funny. But PDGA Rodman, who like annoys people on Facebook because some of his memes are just so dumb, managed to make it in as evidence that Gannon would destroy Prodigy's brand by leaving. That is just a kind of comedy that expands beyond the disc golf world in a way that I think just it has to take the win. I give it to PDGA Rodman.
Okay, well, let me just point out.
Give me the counter case.
Okay, there was just the thing about the Anthony Barella thing.
Oh, you're not even.
Is that it's just not that funny. Like, it's like it was a blunder, but it's not really that funny.
Oh man.
But I will say one funny thing that we haven't talked about that happened immediately after that is that Corey Ellis, you know, we see him like looking at his phone. He's like checking scores. And then he makes the island and he high fives his wife so hard that she's like, ah. And you see like, this happen on the broadcast and it's just amazing. That didn't make our bracket, but it's an honorable mention.
That's part of
honorable
this.
mention.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you because I just think that like in terms of like what just was most hilariously gaffy of the whole year.
Yeah.
It had to be this like very serious, somber citation of a meme post from a meme account as evidence in court that their business was harmed. By the way, what happened to PDGA Rodman?
I don't know. Guy, he retired at his peak.
He had to get out.
You either die the hero or live to see yourself become the villain. And he said, I am done. I cannot go above this.
I want to point out another couple of honorable mentions.
Okay.
How about the glow round at Idlewild.
Oh yeah.
The darkness falls.
Yeah, good mention.
Somebody in the Discord mentioned Simon intentionally blasting his drive out of bounds in order to have the short putt for a par.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very savvy moment, and it was weird. I don't necessarily know that it didn't quite get a spot in the bracket, but it could have. It could have.
Now, if he names a disc after it, like intentional OB or something, I don't know, but it comes up with a name to commemorate.
Spit outs was another topic that people talked about. Too common to be in the bracket. You could put it in there.
And the
year,
problem, like Corey Ellis with it falling through the basket at Beaver State,
iconic.
You got to find a spit out that beats that.
It didn't happen. Didn't see that.
It did not happen.
Didn't see that.
Did not happen.
So there you go. Let us know what you think. We'll maybe put up a Twitter poll on this with maybe 4 items or something like that, and let people vote.
The quarterfinals.
Put the semifinalists in there.
Yeah.
And this is always so much fun, Josh.
Oh, man. It's so good. So good. I love thank you for the Discord. Discord deserves a shout out for both the Storylines bracket and the Gaffs bracket, depending on what order these come out in. Lots of thanks to them. They came up with some great suggestions that we had forgotten. And if you're not a subscriber, you need to be one.
Yeah, you can go over to discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe. And we're going to be doing some Inside the Circle episodes on last year's Storylines bracket. And hey, we'll also take a little look at the Gaffs bracket from last year compared to this year, and kind of think about how things have been going over the last couple of seasons in terms of the weirdness that is always a part of watching disc golf. All right, that is going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long, and we'll talk to you next time.